So, Black Belt Barrister's talking about this GB News case. Apparently, I only knew of the Rees-Mogg case, and now it turns out there's God knows how many cases, but one of them was Rishi Sunak. And apparently, the complaints and investigations started actually shortly after Sunak was on there, possibly even leading up to it, because some of it was going on behind the scenes. Now, Black Belt Barrister doesn't agree with this £100,000 fine, right? Here he's talking about it, right? He doesn't agree with this fine. I think all of them are wrong. Everyone, even Ofcom, because firstly, Ofcom's guidelines, although they might appear complex, I don't think they are. They're not accounting for the entire law. Ofcom's guidelines are not taking into account the whole law, and they're purposely omitting many things. In the same reason and manner as the not the Attorney General, the Director of Public Prosecutions. Max Hill was the Director of Public Prosecutions. And it's exactly like the Angela Ditchfield case. It's a case of a woman's prosecuted with criminal damage. There's an entire act of law in place which is used for defacement and penalties for defacement, and even questioning whether it constitutes as an advertisement or not, which is not damage. And all that is completely ignored because it's actually in law for local council authorities, not crime. And you're supposed to be issued with a notice and asked to remove it first before they take any action. And the police only want to use criminal law, even though what she did is within council law. And the Crown Prosecution Service don't want to treat it as a criminal prosecution as the police have brought it. And yet it's like they're stuck in a rut, right? Things that go through there, because if it's dealt with by the council, they've got to send the council have got to send a notice, and then it says that notice being sent by the council, and there's fines and there's an assessment. It's not actually anything to do with the CPS. Why do the police and CPS not know this? Because it's not their area of law or their governance. In fact, it turns out you don't phone the police if someone's painted a building with an advert, because it's an advert and there's a procedure for that which is not the police and Crown Prosecution, and it can lead to fines, right? That's why the CPS aren't taught it, because you don't prosecute someone with a criminal act, but they're treating it as a criminal act. It's like someone putting a salad in front of you, and you're thinking that it's an ice cream, and it's not. It's a salad, right? And it's like the police misgendering someone. It literally. The police do all this. Always transgender, all this rubbish, right? It's almost kind of like getting a I don't know. Have you seen Goldfinger? Have you seen the movie Goldfinger, right? When they're in Goldfinger's ranch, right? And he's got that map out, and the table spins round and all that, right? He's got the map of the bullion at Fort Knox on the wall, right? And there's a couple of henchmen, right? And while Goldfinger's just getting ready to give this talk, they're all playing pool and snooker and having a laugh, amusement, leisure in his lair, in his ranch, in his meeting room, whatever it is. It's a lair. It's his headquarters or lair or whatever you want to call it, right? And there's two of them are sat on there's a model of a horse, like a mock horse, a pretend horse, and they're sat on it the wrong way round. They're sat on it like facing the wrong way. They don't really, and they're just laughing as if it's funny. They're going, hey, I like this. He sat on the horse facing the wrong way, instead of facing with the front of the animal, he sat on it back to front, and he's like laughing, going, hey, I kind of like this horse, like a rocking horse or whatever. Hey, I like this. It's fun, but he's not riding it properly. Now we know that it's a weird coincidence that God made horses and God made men, and it's a miracle that you can climb into the back of one and straddle it with your legs, and you fit on it. It fits. It's like 2 Lego bricks. So this is weird. Man fits on a horse, but doesn't mean you can't have sex with a horse. It's not right. If a man tried to have, I think there's a porn video called Animal Farm. I've never seen it, but I suppose theoretically a man can have sex with a horse, but they're not meant to. It can't produce offspring. And this is the thing with the police and the Crown Prosecution Service. They're ready to mount people and ride them, take them on a ride through court, but it's you can have sex with a horse. A man, a human, can have sex with a horse, but you can't have a baby, right? And you can take Angela Ditchfield to court, and you can say that you're charging her with criminal damage, and you can give her a good scene to. You can ride her. You can give her a good scene to. You can put the implement in the hole, and you can put your arm up the back of the cow if you want. You can put your fist. You can put your fist up the back of a cow. You can put your fist up the back of an horse. It fits up there, but you're not meant to do it, right? And this is the thing with the police and the Crown Prosecution Service. It's not damage. It's not criminal damage. It's defacement, and it's got a procedure for fines or removal and so forth. Or if using particular acts of law, which say that give you consent, deemed express consent, you can't be prosecuted criminally. Not that you would be being prosecuted criminally if you refuse to remove it and you were fined, because that is a fine, and that's civil, not criminal, right? So this is the thing. This is the chief Crown Prosecutor of the CPS, Max Hill. Yet he's been given a reward and being put in a knighthood, and he's been put in charge of a very prestigious international civil claims barrister chambers to do very important crimes, which probably facilitates reading encyclopedias full of law in particular, and detailed legal technicalities of big companies who make policies which are illegal, and half of them are all fantasy policies anyway, can't possibly exist. But then again, bankers do strange feats with complicated numbers and policies and small print, so you can't hardly read it, and various other technicalities. But this is the thing. It's wrong. It's the highest prosecutor, other than the Attorney General, in the whole country, right? The highest position of a prosecutor you can get under the Attorney General in all of England. Yet he doesn't know what he's doing, unless he's doing it on purpose to try and make a political point. Why did he go to the High Court from the magistrates anyway? He was attempting to... Well, he's perverting the course of justice. And it's either he's perverting it through stupidity or professional negligence or intentional, one or the other. Now, that's a serious thing that is true, and it's at a high level of government. And with Ofcom, we've got Ofcom and the Advertising Standards Agency, who are meant to be at a high level. They're a responsible agency governing all of the complaints of adverts in England and all the supposedly legal technicalities around it. But we've got complete and total errors. And because whoever set them up and established them is not taking the full law into account when they write their rules, when they write their policies of what is allowed and what isn't allowed. Half of it is missing, right? And it's the same with Angela Ditchfield. When the Attorney General brought the case, half of the law, which was actually the law that he meant to use, was it not even being acknowledged. And this is what we've got with elections and with TV broadcast. Now, to cut all that introduction bit out, which might have been a lengthy discussion to have to go into to get to the point, which some people don't want to have to sit through, right? Black Belt Barrister is arguing out, he's purely quoting Ofcom's policy and what Ofcom said. barrister is basically giving his opinion of what is presented and what, as the case may be, what has been said by the news groups and Ofcom themselves, what statements they've put out, and then he added his own opinion, which was, if I'm correct, that he thought the fine was a little bit high. But I think that, I think Jacob Rees-Mogg was on extremely large amount of money per show, which isn't, I don't think it was that far of £100,000 per show, or we could rack up £100,000 in a few shows. So I don't think it was that high. I don't think it was that much money, to be honest. I think maybe, when you're talking about the Prime Minister of England and the image that's got if they've broken the law, I wish my phone had stopped doing that. I think they could potentially have been fined £500,000 because it's involving the Prime Minister of England, and it's setting a better example for the country. But further than that, I don't even think that the case, what they say is the case. Ofcom are arguing around all these technical points around what is impartial or not impartial, or were they going to have someone else on? Did they ask Keir Starmer to go on? Then he said no. Then yes. Then no. Right there, right. At this point, where you've got... Did you ever have this situation before when you were growing up in the BBC? Ever? It didn't exist, did it? How is it existing now? How does it exist now? It exists because they're able to be in a position where there's lots of arguments around it. But guess what? There shouldn't be any arguments around it. There shouldn't be any disputes or arguments about if someone's influenced anyone. Why? Because you're not allowed to influence anyone. You're not allowed to influence. Now, this is the thing, and what I said under this comment for my final statement was, what they're doing is Ofcom are arguing with GB News. They're arguing, right? If Starmer doesn't go on, and if Sunak only goes on, then it's not balanced. Why? But what's the result of that? Oh, there's going to be too much influence to one side, and not on the other side to even it up, right? But what is that? Well, if a man can go on, Sunak, and the reason why Starmer must go on to make it balanced is because if it's not balanced, then what's it doing? What is the state of being unbalanced doing? What is this state of unbalance doing? Which I've come a fine for. If it is, well, it's having an effect, right? It is having an effect, apparently, on one side or the other. So, it's having an effect. And Ofcom is saying that it must be balanced. But what Ofcom are trying to make out is that you can affect the public politically. You can do that as long as it's balanced. So what they're trying to make out is that if it's balanced, it cancels each other out and you're not influencing the public somehow. So that effectively what Ofcom are trying to bluff us with and con us with is that if you've got a set of weighing scales, right, and it says that you're not allowed to affect the public at all, right? Okay, well, you don't have anything on the scales. There's nothing there. There's no effect. You fill the scale up with Rishi Sunak on one side, right, and put a load of marbles in it, right? Right. Now, there's this effect, right? Oh, there is an effect. All right, so there is an effect then. There is an effect on people now. Well, we'll have to balance up that effect so it's fair. Oh, no, but so there is an effect on the public politically now, but you want to make sure it's a fair effect, an equal effect for both sides. Oh, we'll put some marbles on the other one on Keir Starmer now. So we've got Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, right? Oh, now we've got a balanced effect. So what you actually effectively got is a set of weighing scales with marbles on the left and marbles to the right, Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, it's evened up. And what you've got is the centre of the weighing scales, the stand, the centre post, which is bearing the weight of both Keir and Rishi now, actually weighs something itself. So the base of the weighing scales, not the left-hand scale or the right-hand scale cup, which has got the marbles in, now the base of the scales is showing a reading. So effectively, right, if I get digital scales and put the actual scales on the digital scales, right, there's a reading there. That's political effect, right? Now, if I reset that to 0, and there's no marbles on there, it's nothing. So we've got the scales on a digital scale, right? Now, if we put marbles on the left-hand side of the scale, Rishi Sunak, we've got a reading. Now it might be reading 10 or 20. It's all in the favour of, Rishi Sunak. Then we've put Keir Starmer on the other side, and we'll balance that up. Now we've got to be fair and impartial, right? On the other side, and the scales are balanced 50-50, right? But what is that 50-50? Oh, it's a reading. Where the big con is coming in, where the big bluff is coming in, is that because it reads 50-50, and it's because the effect of Sunak has evened or balanced the effect of Starmer. Apparently, they're now saying that's no effect. There is no effect because there is no effect. They're trying to make out it's 0, right? Because the effect of Starmer of being like on the scale on 100 and Labour being on nothing, that is like pro Sunak. But then if you put some marbles on the scale for Keir, right, and you even it out, and then apparently then once the scales balance, then the reading of the scales is 0 because you've got a little arrow. When it's in the middle, it's 0, right? When the scales are in the middle, right, it goes to 0. If it goes over to the left to Rishi Sunak, it reads 100. If it goes over to the right and it's Keir Starmer 100, but if you balance it up, there's nothing there. It's vanished. You might as well say there aren't any marbles there at all. But no, actually, if you put a pound of marbles on the left-hand side and a pound of marbles on the right, there's £2 worth of marbles there. So you've got double the effect. Now look at the reading on the electric scales, which is not showing you the left-hand side or the right-hand side marble. It's actually the weight of the entire structure. Oh, it's £2. £2 worth of political weight. There's an effect for both of them, whether balanced or not. You're not meant to have that effect. It's not meant to exist. That's what's illegal. They're on there. And rather than it arguing whether they should be on or not, they've managed to sneak in to the show. They've managed to waltz themselves into a tango through the back door of the stage and Strictly Come Dancing and have a bit of a fandango around the studio. And then they've Matt Hancock's wiggled his way into I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. They've wormed the way in. And now they're arguing, oh, well, it's perfectly all right to be on here as long as it's not a news programme, but, you can't say this and you can't say that, and, no, he said this and he said that, he's got to balance it up. The jeopardy of the whole situation. Hey, that's funny. You'd have thought in the middle ought to say, well, you just can't go on there because it's not fair, it's too much influence, right? Now, they're trying to pass it off as, you can be on there as long as it's equal influence. Well, no, actually, you're not allowed any influence. None at all. Politicians go on when it's election time and they're meant to have certain equal allocation fair at election time, not out of election time, right? Because there's an event on, it's an election and they're keeping us updated about it and informing you that there is, helping inform you. It's the government who inform you that there's an election, right? In fact, maybe they shouldn't even be on there at all, covering the election. That's the thing. Now, what I actually think is that, in my opinion, from what I've read now, before they were really trying to keep politicians off there altogether. They really wanted to keep politicians off there and not have them on because they didn't want there to be any influence at all. And what they were doing they were just allowing a little bit of, come on to have an interview. And that's actually how they were controlling it. And now they've completely flipped the other way. Now they're trying to make out that they've got a right to be on there all the time, like, reclaim the media. We've got a right to be on here. And then they're arguing about what they can and can't say when they're on there, which is not even meant to be on, in my opinion. And I actually think that the thing is, if when they invite a politician on who's in government, he's meant to be answering questions or telling us what he's done, right? They are in the government and they are doing certain things, right? We're doing this, we're doing that, we're putting the budget up, we're keeping you informed on what we're doing, right? So they're the ones who are executing, right? And they're keeping us informed in what they are doing in their job, so we know what's happening. Like the budget, we're going to announce the budget, right? And I'm going to, make smoking illegal. That I'm informing you what I'm doing, right? That's them informing us of what they've done, right? Now, I don't think that if they start telling us about what they'd like to do or what they're going to do, these are meant to be selfless politicians, and councillors. What they have actually done, right, they should inform us of. And that's where there's a right to know that, and that's news. What's the news? Government just put the taxes up, by 5%. That's news. What happened last week? The government put the taxes up, right? That's news. Because news is a happening. Something happened, right? They built a new skyscraper in London. England won the football. There was an accident on a boat at sea. The government have put the taxes up. That's news. And news is meant to be where they are allowed on as a guest to tell you what's happened, the story. Just like anyone can come into a newspaper and tell you what just happened, right? My uncle, he won the lottery or whatever, right? Now, when it comes to the public, when it comes to what is possible to happen, and what can you ask them to do, and what would you like them to do? Well, this is when we've got the electors, petitions, and the surgery, right? Now, what's it called, a surgery? Politicians have got a interview room, and it's called the local surgery, like the doctor. You go see them, I've got a problem, like the taxes are too high. Can we get a resolution? Can we treat it? Yes, sir, I'll see if I can have a word with the Parliament for you. Oh, great. Can I collect some signatures? Yes, you could try get some support to prove, that lots of people want the taxes changed. Put it in the petitions committee and I'll try to get it debated. Surgery, problem, solution. We ask the government to do this. We ask the government to do that. We propose the government could build us a new town centre. We propose the government could build us a new swimming baths. MP surgery, right? Now, is the news programme, right? Is GB News an MP surgery? And is it paid for by government? Yes or no? And is GB News an MP surgery with Rishi Sunak? And is it paid for by the government? Right? Is it paid for by the government? Is HM government paying for a surgery with Rishi Sunak and providing an office? Well, GB News are making millions and billions and paying millions and billions to East-Mog. But are GB News paying millions and billions to the government to help, Well, it seems like we've got a new surgery. It's called GB News, a new MP surgery. But it seems that Coca-Cola are paying for it. Or it seems that now, BlackRock and Vanguard are paying for this new surgery that's magically appeared. The government aren't paying for it. Well, if the government don't need to pay for surgery with Rishi Sunak, why are we paying for the officers? Nigel Farage clearly doesn't need an office in Clacton-on-Sea. Rees-Mogg doesn't need a surgery in Somerset. You know, Tice doesn't need a surgery in Boston because apparently this billionaire who owns GB News is now holding surgeries for the public. So, you know, there's a tax cut budget for Rachel Reeves. And who's Rachel Reeves? She apparently she's just had to do a tough budget. Well, apparently we don't need a budget now because GB News is paying for all our MP surgeries on national television. Everyone can ring the show in, right, and have a surgery with Sunak. So why am I paying for it? Why is anyone in this country paying for any one of those officers with a crown over the top of it, you know, in Cumbria, the Lake District, or Mike Amesbury in Runcorn? Because apparently, don't worry, GB News will cover the tab. GB News will cover the bill, and don't worry, they'll make it fair. They'll get Sunak on, they'll get, they'll get Starmer on. You know, they're going to pay for it all because it's all funded by their sponsors, Coca-Cola, and they wouldn't be biased, would they, want to show the thing. So this is the thing. Surgery is input, right? Input, which is covered for by government because it's a government facility and process. So what GB News doing holding surgery with Sunak, right? When those politicians are on the news programme, that is outbound. Shut up and listen, switch the TV on and listen to what we just increased the tax of the country. We're building a new road in Shropshire. It's nearly complete, right? Oh, there's been a war in South Africa and we need to send them some aid. That's what we're doing. That's because it's the news. We're keeping you updated with what we're doing, right? Now, this is it. But now what's happened is we've got all these private entertainment shows and businesses who are now offering surgeries, private surgeries, extra surgeries to what the government are offering you. You only get, it's like going to see, do you know what this is like? This is like going to, trying to get an appointment, with your MP, but, he can't fit you in, he's too busy, right? Oh, I'll go see an NHS doctor. I'll go see my NHS doctor. You've got to ring on the morning or you won't get an interview, or I can book you in about 5 weeks. It's a bit of a long wait, unless you go to an hospital and it's an emergency, oh, well, going to the Parliament, there's an emergency there. Everyone stood outside with signs saying, get Starmer out, he's a treasonous traitor. There's an emergency going on at that hospital. This is the thing. This is a problem, right? Now, worry no more. You don't need to get a surgery paid for by HM government at your tax expense. You can now see a private doctor, a private politician. GB News can, if you can't get an interview with your MP because they're too busy, worry no more. Use one of our private politicians. Yes, there's nothing better than paying for a private doctor. And if you're buying Mars bars every day and keeping that business going, then GB News and their private sponsors can offer you a private surgery with a private qualified surgery politician, doctor type effigy of Lee, whoever it is, whoever, I can't remember his last name now, Lee, Rotherham Lee, whatever he's called, Lee Anderson, is it a bird, is it a plane, is it a private doctor, is it an NHS doctor, is it a private politician, is it a government politician, we don't quite know, is it Superman, dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Oh, it's Nigel Farage. Is he a politician? Is he a celebrity? Is he an entertainer? Is he a newsreader? Is he a guest on the news? Who knows? But he's popular. He's popular. I can see him getting into government. I can see him getting into government, but I can't see him in the surgery because he's booked up. That's I've got more chance of seeing him on TV than I have getting a surgery with him. This is a thing. private politicians, you know. It's like private school, isn't it? Rishi Sunak's private school. Don't go to public school. Don't go and see a public politician. Go and see a private politician. You know, they'll get some lobbying in for you. What can I do for you? You know, who are you? Well, Bill Gates. Oh, hello, Bill. What can you do for me? Well, you know, you got a £20,000 for lobbying. I can probably get these laws through, write up a bill, you know, pull some strings in Parliament, get that put through if you want, you know, what you after, you know. Well, you know, it'll cost you though. It'll cost you. You know, it'll cost you a Costa. It'll cost you a Costa coffee though. You know, well, you know, I thought you were offering this news service for free. Well, it is, but you've got to watch the advertisements. You know, nothing's free on here. You got to watch our ads and you know, buy our products, and we might give you might get a free trial session with Rishi if you know watch the ads. It's these are private platforms. And their private channels, the private television broadcasting, you know, it's you know, the television is the outbox, right? Turn it on and listen. This is the news, right? And going to the surgery is the inbox or the petitions committee, right? But now they seem to be, you know, it's what Rachel Reeves needs to do is just shut down all of the surgeries. Because let's be realistic. I mean, who's even got a... Last time I was like, the closest I've been to seeing an MP was, you know, the day before lockdown. And that's how keen they were to see me, you know, for 5 minutes. So, you know, and now with all the stress that everyone's had after lockdown, no one wants to read the emails, you know, because what's the point of headbutting a brick wall? You know, this is the thing. What Rachel Reeves could do is, you know, shut down the surgeries, or how about all the political parties pay for them from all their donations? What they could do is have all the political parties could actually hold surgery in the party headquarters, and they could run them with their own donation money, kind of like a charity. How about instead of having, you know, government taxpayer-funded surgery with MPs, why not have them all non-profit charities, and they volunteer for free, all from donations, and they'll represent anything you want in Parliament, completely free. You know, it's a charity, you know, and then Rachel Reeves can scrub, you know, a couple of numbers off a budget then, save money, you know, or just, you know, ring George Galloway up, you know, he's got a telephone call on there. There's more chance of getting on a George Galloway show and having you say with him, you know, than there is getting to see your MP. You know, this is the thing. Where are they going with this? Rishi's not meant to be on there answering questions to anyone. It's hard enough for a politician to have questions and answers. And they've slithered on, they've slipped on, and now what they're doing is that they're having a wrestling match in a place where they aren't meant to be there, which is like London congestion charge. No charges in the Liberty of London. None. That's Magna Carta. You can't repeal it. You can't change it. Confirmation of the charters. Tough. This is a bylaw of all England, right? The next thing, the mayor's slithering in, and then he's, setting up these different boroughs and areas, and then, we're going to give him powers to make charges, right? Oh, that's great, you know, it's giving powers to, you know, charge people on a chessboard. But by the way, I forgot to tell you one important thing. You can never charge people on those black squares because, you know, there's a ancient English law that says don't do that. But the rest of the chessboard that you govern, you know, go for it. We're giving you the powers to apply the charges. You never had the powers to charge them before. You couldn't charge, but now you can. But I must remind you that you can't charge on those squares because those are forbidden. Or, like, you know, the politician, you know, don't go on the television, you know, unless it's answering questions, you know, on the news program as a guest, you know, on the white squares. You know, don't go over and start trying to entertain people and become popularist, spitting image characters who are encouraging children to, you know, get involved in politics through inadverse influencers as caricatures on TV that shouldn't be there, at the grace of, you know, BlackRock Vanguard, ITN, and big powerful newspaper moguls. This is the thing. So I've had enough of it. It's completely and totally illegal. The whole thing is corrupt. The Liberty of London, the fines in ULEZ, Director of Public Prosecutions with his criminal damage charges, the lot. Now, it's either corruption or stupidity. And we all know what happened. They just started to slowly sneak burgers, drive-throughs, subways, and now everyone's dumb. Dumb, dozy, which is like Fraggle Rock, isn't it? The dozers. And now we're all daft, we're all stupid, we're all retarded, but still pretending to be complicated. There's a complicated argument here, like trying to, draw a Mozart, play a Mozart masterpiece with a pinhead on a tiny piano, like some kind of circuit keyboard. That's hard and complicated. But it's not, because it's all wrong. And it's nothing to do with making or changing the law. It's still a thing. It's still a principle. And what GB News are doing is they're arguing a set of weighing scales and trying to balance it out and pretend that if it's balanced out, there can't be any effect, when there's not only an effect, there's double the effect, because there's a reading on the weight of the entire structure of the scales, which is the presence of them on there, which is not even meant to be there, unless delivering the news of what they've done, delivering an update and keeping us updated with what they've done. And if you want them to do something, then you go to the surgery, because that's what it's there for. Otherwise, there are these private surgeries that seem to be popping up. And as far as I know, they're not authorised. They're not lawful. You don't have private surgeries with MPs, or else Rachel Reeves really needs to be fiddling those numbers a little bit more. Maybe she can, ring Bill Gates up and say, hey, Bill, you built us a new Department of Innovation and Technology. Thanks for that. We're going to close down all the MP surgeries now because we don't need them, because everyone's having surgery through GB News and comments under the videos, and, when they're just coming to the programme instead. In fact, maybe that's their plan. Maybe that's Sunak's plan. Maybe he just wants to be answering questions on television. But at the moment, I think the whole thing's illegal. It is illegal, in my opinion. And Rees-Mogg definitely wasn't allowed to be an entertainer on there, and he's providing entertainment to everyone and his electorate as well. So that's where I am with it. I think the whole thing's illegal, and I think the current arguments they're having are a red herring. They're a distraction, a sideshow, a red herring. They shouldn't even be arguing it. And the rules actually were there to not end up in this situation. The proper established rules would prevent this debate and argument from happening. And some people are going to be really upset about that. I mean, George Galloway, he's got a political party. He's allowed to put things out through his political party channel, which is a non-profit. And he's got candidates, but there's something wrong with this, and you're not meant to put political input in privately through funded organisations, which end up having more of an influence than the surgeries. And when they deliver the news to us, it's meant to be, it's classed as delivering news. They're actually delivering news. And when they said politicians can't do news programmes, it means they can't present them. They can only appear because they're appearing to deliver some news to the presenter of the show. Just like a person walks into a newspaper office and says, I won the lottery, right? That's a bit of news. Right, the politician walks in like a paper boy, and he posts a letter through the letterbox. He's delivering the news. That's what he's doing, and all this, they've completely and totally deceived. This whole he can do current affairs but not news. No, he can only do news when he's fucking delivering it. When he's pushing a letter through the letterbox. That's what he can do, right? He can deliver the news. or his story, but you're not presenting the whole news show. It's a story, that's balanced. A story where a politician delivers the news, a story when tells you some sport, a story when there's some weather. That's balanced. Now, Rees-Mogg can present current affairs. Tosh, bollocks, rubbish. Politicians aren't entertainers. This is the thing. So this is what I said. The whole spitting image thing in what was popularism, popularising MPs. We're in. This is actually probably worse than what they're making out with us for our, freedom of speech. Which it's very hard to govern people's political freedom of speech when you've got political freedom of speech, when there is such a thing as political freedom of speech of us. But then again, if we are on there with our political freedom of speech, it's like a group meeting, it's like the Public Meeting Act. But if the MP is not there, then you're not getting an unsolicited, free, private surgery, are you? There's nothing stopping people having public meetings over things. But when MPs turn up at the public meetings and it's not an election, maybe they should be in the surgery meeting people. It's being facilitated by a private company, not by the government. Now, if Rishi Sunak wants HM government to buy the news channel, then he can buy YouTube. And then none of us will have to watch those stupid, ridiculous ads. If Rishi Sunak wants to buy back Royal Mail and buy back YouTube and say it's HM YouTube government and there's no stupid ads on there, we don't have to watch commercial private ads, that'd be good for everyone. And then when you've got freedom of speech on there, because it's political petition and every MP's got a channel on there, and then you can have surgery with them if you put the right postcode in through YouTube. But Rishi doesn't want, he likes commerce, profits, economy, crap adverts, chocolate bars, temperature controlled cups, watching ads, companies, taxes, revenues, business. He doesn't actually want, what Rishi actually needs to do is say to GB News, bye-bye. And when you log on to the Petitions Committee website or HM Government, then it can be like YouTube. And there can be George Galloway there, MP, screaming at the camera at your face from his office in Parliament, and you can put comments underneath, and you can, ring him up and have a say. And then if anybody wants to watch that, if they've got an interest in Rochdale, if they've got an interest in Islington, and there's Jeremy Corbyn, HM Gov Tube, let's have it, let's see it. And then there's no problems because there won't be any crap adverts on there, and everyone then will be able to ask Jeremy Corbyn in the comments, Jeremy, can you prioritise me for once? No, I only prioritise my constituents. Oh, and GB News. Oh, no, and GB Resistance UK. Oh, and Double Down News. Oh, and who else do I prioritise? Oh, I only prioritise modern culture shows that are popularist. Jeremy Corbyn, yes, I prioritise Double Down News. Oh, it's Momba. Oh, it's Momba. That'll get my figures up a little bit, my popularity. I'll get Momba. I'll go on Professor Tim Wilson. Popularist, yes. I prioritise popularist television shows that can really boost my ratings and send me through the stratosphere. Well, let's see it then. Let's see it. But no, they want to use privately owned commercial channels, particularly ones that are operated from overseas through foreign governments. That's the way to do it, not. So, someone needs to turn this government off on the button on the back and, go onto the motherboard and pull a little tab out the back, which resets it, and then put it back in again and turn the computer back on and see what the damage is, unless someone's hacked the motherboard and there's some kind of kingpin on there, which is, some kind of factory hardware which you cannot remove or change, the Magna Carta or 1688 Bill of Rights or something, then, that's not my problem, But at the moment, it's biscuits, buns, brain fog, pretending to be complicated, pretending to be like top-level barristers with particular inquisitive questioning and excessively unnecessary vocabulary around finite points. This is the thing. When actually, what are they even doing on there? Other than delivering a news story like anyone else turns up at the Times newspaper with a story. But fortunately, Boris Johnson seems to, that's an entertainer. Boris Williams, let me entertain you. Yes, let Boris entertain us with his newspaper column. Yes, let Boris, the Prime Minister, offer us some quality entertainment in exchange, for his... he didn't actually do too. He had a negative impact on his election, didn't he? Boris Johnson, the newspaper column entertainer,